Because of what's happened in the past, we regard it as critical that the pause continue and that it go for the 12 months. Now, it's plain, with the attitudes of the ACTU, with the attitude of the oil industry unions, that we're going to get to a situation of more and more severe industrial disruption, and more Australians are going to get hurt, more Australian firms will be in difficulties, and more Australian jobs will be put at risk. The government is not prepared to allow that situation to unfold, and therefore I've recommended to His Excellency that there should be a double dissolution of the Parliament. That has been agreed. The election will be on the 5th of March. I should indicate that our policies have had for a long while protected Australia from the world recession. In many ways, we were last to be affected by the recession. We're determined that our policies will bring Australia out of the recession before other countries. But that involves a continuation of the pause, the full development of the initiatives that this government has launched over recent times. I believe it's important that the people of Australia be given an opportunity to speak. And if the union movement is not prepared to listen to this government, if it is not prepared to listen to the collective voice of 7 state governments, then I challenge it to listen to the voice of the people of Australia. And I challenge the union movement to withdraw any indication of strikes or bans or limitations of work while this election is being held, so that the people of Australia can make the judgment and we won't have more Australian jobs put at risk by union and industrial action. It's going to be very important to continue the stable policies that we have in place, and this election will enable us to do it.
Prime Minister, while you went to Government House today, the Labor Party was making plans to change its leader and substitute Mr Hawke for Mr Hayden. Have you been caught with your pants down?
No, it makes no difference what the policies may be to the policies. The policies of the Labor Party are the same. I indicated when there was a challenge in the middle of the year that it would make no difference which person was leading the Australian Labor Party. I think it's worth noting that Mr Hayden has shown more signs of economic rationality than has Mr Hawke, because a week or so ago Mr Hayden was indicating a movement towards, in support of, the wage pause, saying it was the one thing that's important in going for Australia, and it should be given a chance to work. But then he withdrew from that, and I suggest he withdrew from that under pressure of the union movement and under pressure of Mr Hawke, who has been opposed to it right through. So the policies of the Labor Party aren't altered by altering the shop front window.
But how important was...
Today on radio, Simon Crean of the ACTU said that he would be working towards a Labor victory, and implied in that was that perhaps the union movement wouldn't be going so hard to break that wages freeze. Does that upset your terminology and policy?
Well, if there was a Labor victory, there would be no wage freeze. The Labor policy is full CPI adjustments, and that, of course, would mean more Australian unemployment, because there'd be more Australian firms that just wouldn't be able to compete. And we all know how much wages went up over the last 2 years, how the profit share fell dramatically, but real wages went up by 6 or 7% over a period in which 5 or 6% in a period in which industries overseas were becoming more and more competitive, and Australian industry was becoming less competitive, and becoming less competitive as a result of the hours policies and the wages decisions of the last 2-year period.
What I'm suggesting to you, Prime Minister, is that perhaps over the next 4 weeks or so, the ACTU might decide, as a deliberate course of action, to go softer on their attempt to break that freeze.
Oh, I hope that now that an election has been called, and I hope that now there is an appeal to the judgment of the people of Australia, that all work bans and limitations, all threats of strike action will be removed. And I challenge the ACTU to do just that, and then accept the voice of the people of Australia. So I hope we'll have a period in which there will be no industrial disruption through the election.
How important was the instability of the Labor leadership in the timing of your announcement?
It's a question of the wage pause and the policies that are put in place. One of the critical elements in this, of course, was the Deputy Leader's statement, which was virtually inciting the oil industry unions to go out on strike and to disrupt. And it's perfectly plain that if we'd not taken this action over the next few weeks and leading up to the end of the 6 months part of the pause, there would have been increasing industrial action, more and more Australian firms in difficulties, and more Australian jobs at risk. And this seemed to the government to be the best way and the most secure way to avoid that happening.
Prime Minister, was there a threat in the Parliament to the wages freeze?
In the Parliament?
Is it threatened in the Parliament?
The Labour Party certainly voted against it, but we know quite well that the major threat to the wage pause at the moment comes from industrial action by the union movement. And that has been a material factor in causing the government to move at this time.
Prime Minister, with unemployment so high, with the deficit going higher and higher, with inflation not coming down very dramatically, how can you convince the Australian electorate that you're better able to run the country than the Labor Party?
Many people understand very well that the difficulties in this country are caused primarily by three things. The Labor Party itself has admitted that the world recession has affected Australia, and it's hit this country later than many others, but now it's hit us very hard. And that's one factor not under our control. The drought is another factor that is hitting Australia hard, and we've taken imaginative policies to respond to that. But I don't believe anyone here would claim to be able to control that particular factor. And the third matter, of course, is something which Australians can influence, and that's the level of wages paid in this country. And a large part of the problems we face have come out of the great pressure for shorter hours and higher wages over the last 2 years. And this, I believe, the Labor Party and the union movement are very significantly blamed for. But the people of Australia know that our problems are caused by the world situation, by the wages and industrial pressures of the union movement, and also by the drought. And you've only got to walk around this country and see whether people, what people think of the present government. And I believe very strongly that they will want our policies to continue.
Prime Minister, you said
Look, there's plenty of time. We don't have to have everyone speaking at once.
Prime Minister, may I ask you a question? Given that this campaign could develop into you versus Mr Hawke, and given that Mr Hawke has a very high image within the Australian population, as indicated by a number of polls over many years, are you worried that you may not be able to beat him?
Not at all. And I think I've shown on many occasions that I'm not worried by polls. Australians will go to the substance of the issue. They have on previous occasions, and they'll go to the substance of this issue very quickly indeed. I said back in the winter, and you may not have agreed with me, but I said then that I thought that Mr Hayden would be a tougher man to beat than Mr Hawke. I still believe that.
Prime Minister, you've consistently scotched speculation about an early election. How do you now justify the U-turn?
It's not a U-turn. You know quite well that governments don't like speculation of this kind, and the speculation itself is unsettling. But it is the events of recent days that have caused the government to come to this decision.
Prime Minister, as a matter of fairness, will the government now withdraw the television and newspaper ads being run in support of the wage pause?
Oh yes, they ought to be withdrawn, but let me make the point. Those advertisements are not being placed to support a policy solely of this government. They're there to support policies which are being supported by 8 governments, Liberal, National Party and Labour. Therefore they were not party political advertisements. They were advertisements in support of a policy that had been agreed at a Premier's conference.
Why will you now withdraw them then, Prime Minister?
Quite obviously because the Federal Labour Party takes a different view, and because we are also in an election period.
Mr Fraser, did you have any second thoughts this afternoon when you found out that you would like to face Mr Hawke and not Mr Hayden?
On the contrary, I had a little more relish. It'll be the first election in which 2 Labour leaders have been knocked off in one go.